Hey, good morning, class. Welcome in. We are about to embark on our second discussion on competition. Now, in our first discussion, we took a look at perfect competition. We took a look at how agriculture is probably our best example. We talked about how supply and demand are going to dictate price. Now, we're going to take a look at the other three forms of competition, and those are monopoly, oligopoly, and monopolistic competition. So let's break each of these down and make sure we understand the differences. Okay, so with the monopoly, the most extreme form of imperfect competition is a pure monopoly. Okay, in a pure monopoly, a single supplier makes up an entire industry for a good or service with no close substitutes. The supplier, that one entity, can raise prices. Oh, lights out. It happens. The supplier can raise prices without losing business, but cannot be outrageous due to the law of demand. Now, monopolies are protected by barriers of entry. These are obstacles to competition that prevent others from entering the market. So, yeah, believe it or not, when they become that powerful, they essentially deflect any kind of threat or any kind of competition that might stand in its way. So, as we take a look at that, we have different types of monopolies. With monopolies, there are four categories. You have your natural, you have geographic, you have technological, and a government monopoly. So let's take a look at each of these. Now, with a natural monopoly, a government grants exclusive rights to companies to produce services like your utilities or cable TV. So that is a natural monopoly. Natural monopolies have economies of scale. All right, these are low production costs that result from the large size of output. Natural monopolies can typically use factors of production more efficiently. Okay. Now, geographic monopolies, these are a little bit more closer to home. Okay, so with the geographic monopoly, basically a country store in a rural town would be considered a geographic monopoly. Okay, so we probably have some examples here in Dexter where it is just that one store and there's no direct competition. The country store is isolated enough and the chance for profits are very small. All right, because of this, other businesses choose not to enter the market. So you don't really see anybody else wanting to put in, maybe it's a hardware store or something along those lines where, again, there's just one and that's really all the town needs. Okay? Now, technological monopolies, these exist when you have full control over your own invention. So a patent gives you the exclusive right to manufacture, sell, or rent your invention for a specific number of years. 20 years is typical with a patent. Now, a copyright is then used to protect creative works. So sell, publish, reproduction for a specific amount of years as well. Okay? So again, if somebody comes up with an invention, all right, they want to have that patented, and if you have that patent, you can basically have a monopoly on the market. Okay? And then lastly, we have a government monopoly. So a government monopoly, again, it's going to be held by the government. What we typically see are your construction, your maintenance of roads. These are responsible for local and state and national governments. All right. In the U.S., the Postal Service is the best example of a monopoly. So we have our U.S. Postal Service. You're not going to see any direct competition there, and therefore they have a monopoly on our mail. Okay. Now let's talk about something that's a little bit different, and that is oligopoly. So with oligopoly, an oligopoly is an industry, all right, dominated by a few suppliers who exercise some control over price. Oligopolies are not as harmful to consumers. Consumers may pay more, but prices are relatively stable. Now, we're also going to see something called product differentiation. Manufacturers use of minor differences in quality and features to try to differentiate between similar goods and services. The video that we're going to watch today, that's where we're going to kind of decipher. Is it a monopoly? Is it an oligopoly? Okay? Now let's talk about independent behavior. If competing firms in an oligopoly secretly raise prices or divide the market, they are performing an act called collusion. All right? This is not good. This can basically have a lot of legal ramifications. Heavy fines and prison terms can occur if laws are broken. Now, we also have situations here called cartels. Now, a cartel is an arrangement among groups of industrial businesses to reduce international competition by controlling the price, production, and distribution of goods. The most common cartels in today's terms are your drug cartels. Now, over the last 30 years, we've also seen oil cartels. But when we think cartel, we often think of the drug cartels. Okay, that's again where you're seeing price, production, and distribution really dictated by these cartels. A lot of them being very violent because of it. Okay, and lastly, we have monopolistic competition. So with monopolistic competition, this is a market situation in which a larger number of sellers offer similar but slightly different products, and in which each has some control over price. If a company succeeds in building brand loyalty for a product, the company gains a certain amount of influence over the market. So again, our retail stores, our fast food restaurants, again, this is all very monopolistic in terms of how it's done competition-wise. Advertising, understand this, is rampant in monopolistic competition. Some argue that consumers will spend more because of ads. They want to get their name out there, so they're going to advertise on television, on the radio, social media. They're just going to continue to pump out more advertising. While others believe that ads will bring quality to a brand name. Okay, so it helps boost that quality for a particular brand. Now, when we start taking a look at monopolies, and we start taking a look at some of those classic ones from the late 1800s, Standard Oil, Carnegie Steel, the railroad systems, all of those big three, we're going to look at government intervention, which is going to be our third and final discussion on Chapter 9. So we got a couple videos today. We're going to still work through activity number 1, and a lot of you folks are finishing up your small business project, so I want to make sure we focus on that. All right? Well, folks, you guys are all set. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.